Hello, and welcome to a new week and also another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So let's get this started. As we all know, it's Monday, so we get an overview of what we're expecting for the week, and at the same time, get an overview of what we are expecting for the day. So it's quite a busy week, but also a very silent Monday. So in the US markets, we don't expect much to be happening today. So the US markets remain closed today. That is both bonds as well as the stock market. Mainly because it's a public holiday or what we call the President's Day. So on this day, the Americans are celebrating the birthday of the first president, George Washington. So we will be expecting low liquidity in the markets. So a lot of US dollar traders will be looking to trade based on technicals, since we will not be expecting any news. So besides this, we had Chinese data coming up early in the morning, where the Bank of China decided to keep rates steady or keep them at the same level. And this is for the 5th straight month. So we have two rates. There's the 1-year long prime rate, which is basically fixed at around 3.65%. And also for the 5-year, remain at 4.3%. So what's basically happening in China is that the economy is bound from the COVID-19 pandemic. So remember, they just reopened earlier this year. That was December, January. And from that period, we are looking at a potential Chinese recovery. So we have seen a lot of Chinese stocks continue to rally and do well this year. And at the same time, we are seeing a lot of American investors going back to reinvesting in China. So last year was a big sell-off. So we saw a lot of investors adding away from Chinese stocks. But now we are seeing a lot of investors resuming the investments in China. So one key thing to notice is that the current inflation is very low, at around 1.8%. Interest rates have remained relatively low. This is a big discrepancy with other ones. So we have seen central banks in the West being very aggressive in hiking interest rates, but for China, it has remained relatively steady, and this is a good environment for stocks. So at the same time, we are seeing a lot of recovery, as well as a quantitative easing happening in China. So one of the biggest tragedies we saw last year was the real estate market in China, taking a big hit, especially the Evergrande saga. So this year, we saw one of the trickiest investors in the market, the big short guy, call him Michael Barry. So he basically jumped in on two stocks. One of them is Alibaba, and the other one is JD.com, both being US listed Chinese stocks. So at the same time, we will be expecting earnings this week for Alibaba on Wednesday before the market open, and this is expected to bring more clarity for Alibaba performance. So we'll be looking at those books, and if they look really good, then it would be a strong case for investment. So always remember, these sessions are not investment advice, nor are they recommendations to trade. So you should always do your own research before making your investment decisions. So as for the economic calendar today, we are not expecting much. We will be expecting one key data point, and this is the European Consumer Confidence Survey report. So this survey will be published at 6 p.m. So previously, what we have been seeing happening in the Eurozone is a lot of pessimism as a result of the current economic conditions. So one of the key things we have seen is that the war in Ukraine has really affected things in the Eurozone, and at the same time, the rising consumer prices have been quite a big problem. So as long as consumers are facing these challenges, higher prices, there is a war happening in the next country, then whenever they are responding to consumer confidence survey, they basically give a negative report since they are not projecting a very optimistic outlook. So from what we see in the past couple of months, we have been seeing a very negative or pessimistic report from this survey. But if you look at the months from September last year up to the current month, what we are basically seeing here is a survey improving, indicating that the pessimism is reducing, but nevertheless, the indicator is still below zero, indicating a strong pessimism in the European economy. So if there is a further optimism, that is a reduction in this data, then there will be an indication that the issues in the Eurozone. So that's the only data point for today. As for Canada and US, to be a bank holiday today, so we don't expect much to be happening. So this means that trading today will majorly be focusing on technicals or technical price levels rather than fundamentals, since we don't have any news. So as for the week, it's quite a violent week. We expect a lot of stuff to be happening. So one of the stuffs that we'll be expecting is a monetary policy meeting minutes. This will be happening on Tuesday, 3:30 a.m. Then we'll be looking at the UK flash manufacturing and services data, Eurozone flash manufacturing and services data. Then later on, Canadian CPI, it's a measure of inflation in Canada. Then flash services and manufacturing for the US at 5:05 p.m. So it's a big week for economic data. We'll be looking at the housing market in the US. So it's important to follow the existing home sales. This will be on Tuesday in the evening at 6 p.m. Then on Wednesday, this is when I would say when we will have the biggest news for the week. So the biggest news for the week will be New Zealand interest rate data, where the analysts are expecting about 50 basis points hike. And this would push New Zealand interest rates from 4.25% to 4.75%. So after this, we also be following up with the RBNC press conference. So this will basically clarify on the policy that they decide on, and also give investors an outlook of future oncoming rate decisions. So a lot of investors will be following up on this data. So as we head on further into the week, we'll be seeing the FOMC meeting minutes at 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Then preliminary GDP. This is for the US, a very interesting data point to measure the economic performance of the US. Also, we'll be having final CPI. This is the measure of inflation in the Eurozone. Previously, 8.5%. Now we'll be expecting inflation to experience a small spike in February, around 8.6%. Sorry, this is January data. So later on, as we head to the end of the week, for the US, I think the most important data point will be the core PCE price index. So it's basically a measure of how quickly the prices are changing in the US, and it's one of the biggest data points that the Fed considers making decisions. So all the Fed members will also be part of this data. So if there's a spike in PCE price index, similar to the spike we saw in CPI last week, then it will only mean one thing, that the Fed will force hike rates higher and keep them longer. And that can only mean a much stronger dollar and a much weaker equities. So that's the outlook for the week. In terms of earnings, it's a big week. We will be expecting retail earnings for quite a number of companies. One of them will be just a moment confirming these. So we'll be expecting earnings from retail sector. So just a moment, I want to confirm these. Yes, one we have Coca-Cola happening later in the week. Just want to go through this quickly. No, this is not the right one. So I just want to peruse quickly through the earnings calendar. Yes, now I got the right data point. Yes, we have Home Depot. These will be happening on Tuesday at market open. And also we have Walmart. These are the two most important earnings that investors are waiting to see this week. So it will be an indication of how the US economy is performing. So these are some of the two largest retail entities in the US. So if they are doing well, then they have an implication on the economy. If they're doing badly, then you can draw insight. So besides that, there will be more notable earnings. I believe we'll be having NVIDIA. This is a very representative of the microchip giant. So when you look at the microchip industry, NVIDIA is a big indicator. So if it's doing well, then we expect that the entire semiconductor industry to be doing quite well in the US. So it will be a key indicator, and also a good trading idea, especially if we see NVIDIA beating earnings the last quarter. So besides these, if you look at the charts, they are looking quite quiet today. So we don't have much happening in the charts. So New Zealand USD making quite a recovery, but I don't see this as volatile enough. You can see very small candlesticks, basically indicating that the markets are largely quiet. If you look at Euro USD, currently testing this particular trend right here. So nothing much is happening here. Pound USD, similar thing. So we don't have a lot of activity happening in the market this week. So some of the key highlights are one, let's see. Yes, gold is making some recovery. I don't think it's sufficient enough to draw insights. You can see the US 500 or the S&P 500 managed to make a very strong bounce from the 4,051 level. So after these bounce, we will be expecting to see some further trends happening from tomorrow once the US stock market is back. So as for today, I expect some largely quiet markets. Same case as the Dow Jones being sideways today. US Tech 100 or the Nasdaq also sideways. Most interesting chart for today will be the UK oil, or basically Brent oil. You can see there was a very strong pullback here in the forward chart. And if I zoom out, you can see the channel that we have been following for quite a while now. So these swings are pretty important in identifying key price levels. So this bounce right here seems quite significant. So my expectation is that we'll be having the run happening after this. So there's a good potential that this week we will be seeing the market continue to vary. So it's also important we adjust our trend line here. So you can see there's a small channel happening on the 1 hour chart in between the bigger channel happening on the 4 hour chart. So after this strong bounce, we'll be expecting some further upside. So potentially dollars up from the current level of 83.4, 84.3 on the upper trend line. So somewhere around this price here. So potentially this recovery could continue happening later in the day. So also it's important to note that the dollar index started some weakness late on Friday last week, and now today continues with some weakness. So we'll be following this closely. But as for today, as already mentioned, we expect markets to be largely quiet. So it's also very important to check on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been doing pretty well, very regularly. That hit our target of about $25,000. And after this, we saw a pullback happening here, and then another pullback basically indicating that the market is consolidating. So if you look at this critically, we are seeing the market forming a very familiar pattern, and this is a consolidation that comes in the shape. So what this means is that potentially this week we'll be seeing a breakout happening in Bitcoin, either to the upper side or the lower side. So you just have to monitor this pattern to see the potential of market trends. So as for the UK 100 or the FTSE 100, I think this is the most important signal today. Here you can see the market that resistance here on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then today. And now we are seeing European equities taking some weakness. So potentially we will be seeing the market going back down past the trend line. So pretty good idea to first stop loss around this area, and potential target short selling trade was the lower trend line. So the lower trend line extended goes this way. We have some support around this area. So I'm sure that you can all see this. So potentially we will be seeing the FTSE 100 drop towards the lower trend line. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. Let me check if there's any questions before we end the session. So hi, Stevens. Hi, Tony. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the session. There's one request here. Take on AUDN. So I think that's the only query we'll be checking on today. All right. So from these, if you zoom out, this is the daily chart. So I can't say it's a very trendy market. You can see there's a lot of noise happening in the daily chart. Apologies for that. So from this particular chart, you can see on the daily chart, it's basically moving sideways. So if you are to begin by just marking key price levels, I will look for this bottom here. Remember, we always do a top-down analysis. So I will mark this area here as the most extreme prices. I would also move to a smaller time frame. So from the 4-hour chart, I can identify that there was a trend that the market was following here. Then after breaking this particular trend line, you can see the market rallying then from a smaller channel. So from the 1-hour chart, if you zoom out again, then you can see a nice pattern that's happening here. So on this particular pattern, you can see some bearish momentum happening in between. So some very nice trend lines here indicating a bearish channel. And now, after breaking this area, the market goes into a consolidation. If you are to map the consolidation here, I would say that relatively for the last couple of days, this particular market has been moving sideways. If you look at these, then it seems like a break, a retest. So now you can see the triangle that the market has been following, a breakout, a retest, and bounce. So potentially we will see some upside momentum, but also it's very important to check the fundamentals to see what they are indicating. So this is just a technical overview of what the market is presenting. So you can see a very nice breakout here, retest, and potentially a rally towards the base or the top of the pattern here. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you on the next session. So hi, Rufus, can someone start with a capital of $40 to start trading? I wouldn't say $40 would serve your needs. You wouldn't be able to make a living from an account where you're trading $40. So I would say it's a good number to start with. So you trade with a small balance, learn how to get options, trade, but eventually you will need to make a bigger deposit in order to have expectations for good income from your trading account. So for $40, consider it your first experience in learning how to trade a live account. But once you learn, eventually consider a bigger deposit. So thank you very much. See you on the next session.